The image that defines Desmond Doss is not a speech, and it is not even the moment he refuses to carry a rifle.
I can't touch a gun.
It comes much later, on top of that ridge, after the line has broken and the battlefield has become smoke, artillery fire, and torn bodies. Men are pulling back. Survival is the only thing anyone seems to trust. And in the middle of all that, Doss stays behind and starts lowering wounded soldiers down the cliff one by one.
Please, Lord, help me get one more. Help me get one more.
That image changes the whole film. A man who refuses to carry a weapon should not, in theory, become the strongest figure in a war story. He should be the one left behind. He should feel too gentle for that world, too impractical, too far removed from the kind of toughness war usually rewards. But Hacksaw Ridge keeps moving in the opposite direction. The more brutal the film becomes, the more Doss's refusal to kill stops looking like weakness and starts looking like the hardest thing in the frame. That is what makes him so compelling. The film is not using him as a gimmick. It is doing something much more difficult. It is taking one of the oldest assumptions in war cinema, that strength reveals itself through violence, and testing whether that idea can survive contact with Desmond Doss. By the end, it cannot.
One of the smartest things Hacksaw Ridge does is that it does not begin by throwing Doss straight into the army. It begins earlier, when violence is already part of his life. The fight with his brother matters for that reason. It is brief, but the film does not treat it like an ordinary childhood scuffle. It lands like a memory that never really leaves him. Then the story deepens that feeling through his father, who brings war back into the home as fear, instability, and threat. The house never feels fully safe. It feels like violence has already found a place to live there. Those scenes do more than fill in background. They make sure Doss's beliefs never feel abstract. He does not reject killing because he has never looked closely at violence. He rejects it because the film shows that he already understands what violence does once it enters ordinary life. It wounds more than the body. It changes the emotional shape of a family. It lingers. That is why his later refusal to carry a rifle has weight. He is not holding on to an idea because it sounds noble. He is protecting a line the film has already shown us he takes seriously. So before the war even begins, Hacksaw Ridge establishes something essential about him. His refusal is not innocence, it is memory, conscience, and a real fear of what a person becomes once that line is crossed.
Attention!
Once Doss enters training, the film finds the clearest visual expression of his character in one simple image, a line of recruits being shaped into soldiers, and Doss standing among them in the same uniform while refusing the one object that defines the whole process. The rifle drill scenes work because the film does not overplay them. Doss does not turn his refusal into a performance. He does not try to impress anyone. He simply will not touch the rifle. That calm is what gives the scene its force. If he were louder, it would feel like rebellion. Because he stays quiet, it feels like something deeper and harder to move. The scene also shows why the army cannot read him. From the military's point of view, refusing the rifle is not a moral position. It is a practical failure. A soldier who will not carry a weapon looks useless inside a system built around obedience and combat. That is why Doss becomes a problem almost immediately. The people around him do not see conviction, they see dysfunction. But the film sees something else. It shows a man who is willing to serve, willing to suffer, and willing to go to war, while refusing to cross the one boundary that would destroy his sense of who he is. That distinction is the center of the character. Doss is not refusing responsibility, he is defining responsibility differently from everyone around him. Once the film makes that clear, the rifle stops being just military equipment. It becomes the object that marks the exact point where his conscience will not bend. Training camp becomes interesting the moment the men around Doss realize that shame is not going to move him. They mock him, isolate him, and treat his prayer life like proof that he does not belong there. But the scene that really matters is the beating in the barracks. Once ridicule fails, the group turns to force. That shift tells you everything about the world Doss is standing in. The men around him cannot tolerate someone who remains unchanged, so they try to punish him into conformity. What matters even more is what happens after.
Private Doss, can you identify the men that beat you?
No, Sarge. I never said I was attacked, Sarge.
When Doss refuses to identify the men who attacked him, the film reveals something essential about him. His principles are not decorative. They govern his behavior even when he has every excuse to abandon them. He does not become vindictive the moment the situation gives him permission to be. That choice says more about his character than any speech could. Then, the film raises the cost. The jail cell and court-martial scenes strip away the noise of the barracks and leave Doss alone with consequence. By that point, the issue is no longer whether he can survive mockery. It is whether he can live with what his conscience will cost him.
And why can't you just pick up the stupid gun and wave it around?
Thought I can't do that. But I don't know how I'm gonna live with myself if I don't stay true to what I believe. Much less how you could live with me. I'd never be the man that I want to be in your eyes.
A future with Dorothy is right there. A way out is right there. Compromise stops looking cowardly and starts looking reasonable. That is what makes the jail cell so important. The film gives him a moment where surrender would be understandable, and he still does not move. He is not trying to win an argument. He is trying not to sign away the one part of himself the film has spent so much time building. The stillness in those scenes is what makes them strong. Nothing spectacular is happening on the surface, but the character is being tested at a deeper level than before. By the time the court-martial material ends, the film has made one thing unmistakable. Desmond Doss is not just sincere, he is durable. Once the film reaches Okinawa, argument falls away. The climb up the cargo net already prepares the battlefield as a trap. The men are not just entering danger, they are pulling themselves into a place that feels exposed, unstable, and ready to come apart. Then the assault begins, and the film changes language completely. Commands dissolve into noise, bodies are hit at close range. The ridge becomes a machine for tearing men apart. And in that environment, Doss becomes clearer. That is the first important thing Okinawa reveals. He does not freeze, and he does not become a spectator to suffering. He moves toward the wounded. While many of the armed men are trying to survive the battlefield, Doss is trying to preserve life inside it. The difference is immediate, and it gives him a kind of purpose the chaos around him cannot erase. The rescue of Smitty matters because it closes an earlier wound without drawing attention to itself. Back in training, Smitty helped define Doss as a misfit. On the ridge, Doss saves him without hesitation. The film does not stop to underline the irony because it does not need to. The point is already there. Compassion in this character is not conditional. He does not pause to decide whether someone deserves help. He acts from the same principle the film has been building from the beginning. Then the line breaks, the others retreat,
and Hacksaw Ridge arrives at the moment everything has been leading toward. Doss stays. That decision is the center of the film. If he leaves with the others, the character remains admirable. If he stays, the title becomes real. What follows is powerful because the sequence does not turn him into an action hero. It gives heroism the shape of repetition. Drag a body, tie the rope, lower a man, go back, then do it again. That rhythm is what makes the sequence unforgettable.
One more. Hell, we get one more.
He is not trying to conquer the ridge. He is refusing to surrender the wounded to it. The prayer running through the scene keeps it grounded in something human. Help me get one more works because it narrows courage to the next necessary act. Doss is not thinking about legend or even victory. He is asking for enough strength to do the work immediately in front of him. That is why the image of lowering wounded soldiers down the cliff has so much force. The ridge has already been filmed as a place that destroys bodies and leaves them behind. Doss changes what human action inside that space can mean. He cannot stop the battle, he cannot remove the violence, but he can refuse to let the battlefield decide that a wounded man is already lost. And that is the moment where his refusal to carry a weapon reveals its full meaning. It was never a lack, it was the foundation of everything he becomes on that ridge.
The final movement of the film is quiet, but it matters because it completes the arc in the right place. The real change at the end of Hacksaw Ridge is not Desmond Doss, it is the way the men around him finally see him. That is why the prayer scene works so well. Earlier in the film, prayer marked him as weak, strange, and out of place. In the final section, those same men wait for him to finish before moving into battle. No one mocks him, no one hurries him. The act itself has not changed, but its meaning inside the group has. That shift is the point. Doss does not earn their respect by becoming harder, louder, or more recognizably masculine in the usual war movie sense. He earns it by remaining exactly who he was, while the battlefield forces everyone else to reconsider what strength actually looks like. The film does not reward him by making him fit the unit. It rewards him by making the unit finally understand him. That is why the ending lands. By then, the strongest soldier on the ridge no longer feels like a paradox. The film has already done the work. It has shown that steadiness, conscience, and the refusal to abandon other people can carry more weight than violence ever could.
Desmond Doss is one of the rare war movie characters who changes the meaning of the film around him. If there is another character you want me to look at next, leave it in the comments. And if you enjoy this kind of film analysis, subscribe. There's a lot more coming.